Alright everybody, I just thought I'd make another collector's guide video. This one will be shorter because it's just less games, less stuff to talk about, less variations and everything. So let's get right into it. This one is on the Sega Master System. Came out in 1986, in the US that is. Wasn't very popular here, but nonetheless, it's a cool system to collect for. Kind of expensive. Most of the games I'm going to show are kind of hard to get. So let's get right into it. Here's my system. It's in decent shape. It's a very, very early version of it. And it's the spaceship looking thing. You've seen this in some of my videos before. Power, which I think is actually was turned on. The pause button's on the system, a reset button. Also on the back of it there's an expansion slot, which of course was never used. This tab, actually, if you can find this thing, pick it up. It's kind of hard to get a system with it now. These things cost like 70 bucks. Some of them have built-in games. Actually, all of them do. It's different games depending on when it was released. Mine has like a maze game on it because it's an earlier one. On the back, just AC adapter, uses the same kind as the NES and the Genesis Model 1. Everything here is cross-compatible with the NES and the Genesis. Here's the controller. This is an earlier version. This is kind of weird. It still works. The cat's got to it. But yeah, just the 1 and 2 button. The 1 also serves as start, and then the control pad. The early versions came with a little like joystick thing, like a little ball top here, which you'd use, and it would help with that. This is that controller, but the ball tops that came out. So the later versions look like this, but there's no hole there. It's just a flat surface. So yeah, the Sega pad. So there we are. Then they made the light phaser, which is the light gun for it, which they re-released this later on with an orange tip for safety reasons. I have the black tip one. There is a little back piece of plastic here, but it's missing, so it still works though. Also, one thing to note is that this uses the same plugs as the Genesis, and you can use this stuff on Atari 2600 as well. I'm not sure if you can, because they released the power base converter, which is what this is called, the power base, for the Genesis. I'm not sure if you can use the original controllers with it. I don't know. So that's just some random stuff. There are more accessories, but not many of them. But there you go. Now on to some games. Also, actually, I'll real quick compare those two. Here's the NES Zapper. I have the cord wrapped around it, but they did make a gray version of the NES Zapper, but that looked kind of more like this. But which one's cooler? If you're like a marksman, one of these two. Unofficial. Then the gamepad comparison. Another unofficial, but yep. This has pause on the console, or not on the console. This is pause on the controller and has stop and start. Crap. But basically the same thing, but there's no buttons there. Now on the games. Early on, it came packed with Hang On and Safari Hunt. Very cool little combo cartridge. Has a little blue label there. And the manual, this is what the boxes look like. Pretty easy to find these games in box because they're not cardboard. There's manual. And then here's what the cartridges look like. The Mega cartridge, which just goes in the top. Most times they'll be a brighter red than that, but the early ones were darker. They also released games on these cards. They're called the Sega cards. Like here's Spy vs. Spy. The cases were also pretty thin and small in comparison to the cartridge ones. They come with a manual. Mine doesn't. It also comes with a little plastic protective case. Mine doesn't. Spy vs. Spy, and then you pop this in a little front slot. There was also a revision of the system that was smaller, the Master System 2, which is extremely hard to find in the US, and there's no card slot on it, so just worth noting. And there's a dust cover. Well, like there's a dust cover where it like slides up. Some games. Gotta go with the very popular, very expensive, not hard to find, but just expensive, Phantasy Star. I'm thinking about selling this stuff, actually. I could get a lot of money. I got this for free. All of it. But yep, complete in box Phantasy Star. Here's the manual, which it has all pages. It's decent condition, some small little warping on there. And here's the cartridge. I've played a little bit of this game. I'm not really a fan of it, but cool enough. I'm sure someone else would have. Also, all of my games have the tags on them still. Gavelius, another hard to find game. Man, it's just the box and the cartridge for this one. Monopoly. There's a variation on this game. It's Monopoly or Monopoly. Most of the times it would be Monopoly on it, but for some reason the earlier versions have a space in between Mono and Poly. Zillion is up next. Zillion 2 is better, but I have the first one. Which this one is a stupid thing I was talking. Card only. This came out in Now There Are No Limits. The later cartridges did not have the Now There Are No Limits on the back of it. Fantasy Zone. These are hard to open. Montezuma's Revenge by Parker Brothers. Mine has a torn up label, but this one was more like the front cover. Then it doesn't have the red or whatever. Very few third-party games. This is one of them. Text action adventure game. When was it text action adventure? I like this version less than the Coleco version for the ColecoVision. Quartet. No clue about this game. It's Quartet. No clue. This is a earlier game as well. 87. But crap. The cartridges fall out sometimes. Also, to compare real quick to a Nest cartridge, here's what it looks like next to Punch Out for the NES Quartet. So, there you go. The NES games were huge. That's half the reason they were so big is because of the way they tried to market the system. So, and I think this looks better than the NES myself. It's not a big old box like the NES was, but great football. I've heard this game is terrible, but I've never touched it. But there you go. And then my last game, Casino Games, which you can use the Sega control pad or control stick, which I don't have. There are also password saves for the system. The manual fell apart, but nonetheless, if you want, I will give you an offer of $400 for all the stuff I showed here. I also have all the hookups. I have the RF hookup, the AC adapter. I have another controller. Both work, even though they have the messed up cords. For $400, I'll give you all that, and it comes with a complete box Phantasy Star, Gavelius with the box, but no manual, and some other cool games. If you want, just, message me or just comment on this video if you want this stuff for $400, and then I'll set it up on eBay, and you can just buy it. So, Master System is a fun system to collect for. I like it. I'd recommend it. I think the NES was better in the U.S. at least, but also Master System outside of the U.S. is a lot better. There's a lot more games and a lot more things, but in the U.S. this is what we had. So, yep. Catch you guys later.